Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Thursday, June 5th. We're heading in for, I believe, day 17, could it be, of the U.S. versus Sean Combs trial. It's starting a little later today, and so we've managed to get a few things done, including writing a story about the Diddy docket, the Civil Division, in which his former security guard, Joseph Sherman, sued Graves, who sued Combs and Sherman and others for a alleged sexual assault. Well, Sherman countersued, in a sense, for defamation and was lost. This was dismissed, and in fact, there's going to be some sanctions. We put the order up. The criminal case is rising. Yesterday, Frank Piazza, the video expert paid by the government, $295 an hour, and they went round and round. And the defense, had him narrated again and again. I'm not sure if it was that smart. Then there was Bryana, who was dangled off the balcony. Now, Nicole Westmoreland did a pretty effective cross, pretty aggressive. Basically, she came right out and said, "Are you lying? Are you lying?" Objection, Your Honor, argumentative. But that is the question. If you're going to plead not guilty and you have these witnesses saying you did these things, either they're lying or you're lying, right? Unless, of course, there's a legal dispute about you did do the thing, but it doesn't constitute RICO, which is the thing that's going to come up. We're going in, and today the big one is Jane. And today the issue is whether there'll be a new order trying to tell people how to keep pseudonym in place. Here's one way: don't put up the wrong exhibits on the screen. Once you do, that's that. But we're going to abide by every rule. I totally believe in that, but I also believe that people have a right to know what happens in court. So it's a balance, but it's a balance I think now there's some serious immigration cases. On the retail level, Yosan Chung of Colombia, Judge Buchwald gave the U.S. Attorney's Office a week to figure out if ICE was willing to serve her the notice to her lawyers and to provide her a notice of the notice to appear. Well, no is the answer. They will not, and they won't show it until she's arrested. So they're still gunning. It's not surprising because at the wholesale level, the Trump administration, since yesterday's vlog, has announced a 12-country travel ban. Now, it's more modified than the one he tried in the first term. He's not canceling visas that have already been given, but there's sure to be litigation, and it's supposed to go into place.
No one in the courtroom saw this coming. A woman took the stand and calmly said that Sean "Diddy" Combs, one of the most powerful names in music, held her over the edge of a 17-story balcony. Her name is Bryana Bongolan, and according to her, it wasn't a fight. It wasn't an accident. It was a moment of pure fear, one that burned itself into her memory forever. "I was terrified," she told the court. "I will never forget him holding me on that balcony." This wasn't a vague story. She described it in detail: the fear, the height, the furniture she was thrown onto afterward. And even though she couldn't remember the exact date it happened, she was certain about who did it. "I have no doubt," she said. It was him. But that wasn't the whole story. So how did Bryana Bongolan even end up in this situation? She wasn't just some random person. She was a longtime friend of Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former partner. And that connection pulled her into a world very few people ever get to see. Bryana says the incident happened inside Cassie's own apartment. The same Cassie who later filed her own lawsuit against Diddy. Before that lawsuit even dropped, Cassie asked Bryana if she could name her in it, specifically about the balcony incident. Bryana agreed, but only after she warned Cassie that some details were wrong. After the suit went public, Bryana says she reached out to tell her exactly what happened. It wasn't just Cassie and Diddy. According to Bryana, the entire scene was tangled in secrecy, trauma, and fear, and the more she talked, the more disturbing it became, because the defense wasn't going to let her speak without a fight. Diddy's legal team didn't waste a second. They went straight for the jugular, accusing Bryana of fabricating the story for one reason: money. "You saw this as a chance to make $10 million, true?" Attorney Nicole Westmoreland asked coldly. Bryana didn't back down. "I'm here for justice," she replied. But the defense wasn't finished. They pointed out she hadn't gone to urgent care, never told a chiropractor what happened, and didn't even report it to the police. And then came the ultimate accusation. Westmoreland stared her down and said, "You came in here and you lied. To the ladies and gentlemen of the jury." Bryana's answer was calm. "I can't agree with you." The courtroom went still. But the defense had more than just words. They had what looked like hard evidence. To shake Bryana's story, the defense didn't just ask tough questions. They pulled out time-stamped receipts. They claimed the balcony incident couldn't have happened the way Bryana described, because Diddy wasn't even in Los Angeles. Instead, they said he was on the East Coast, performing at a concert in Newark, New Jersey, on September 25, 2016. And they had hotel records showing he and Cassie were checked into the Trump International Hotel in New York City from the 24th to the 29th. Photos of bruises on Bryana's leg were dated September 26th. That's the day she claims the incident happened. But the defense asked, how can someone be in two places at once? Bryana didn't have a clear answer. "In theory, yeah," she said. "I can't answer that one." To the jury, that might have sounded like doubt. But Bryana wasn't changing her story. She still insisted it happened. And what happened after the alleged attack? That's what really left people speechless. You'd think someone who was nearly thrown off a balcony would run and never look back. But what Bryana did next left even the courtroom stunned. Just weeks after the alleged attack, she was still in contact with both Cassie and Diddy. In fact, text messages showed she offered to bring Diddy a hoodie, and even agreed to sleep over at Cassie's apartment. The defense hammered this point. "Isn't it true that you continued to hang out with Mr. Combs and spend the night at Ms. Ventura's house because he didn't cause you those injuries?" Bryana paused. "Part of that statement is correct. Part of that statement I can't agree with." She even admitted she went to one of Diddy's concerts on October 4th, just days after the alleged incident, and to a private club he rented the next day. When asked if she wore the neck brace she claimed to need, she said, "I probably should have, but didn't." To some it looked like mixed signals. To others it was trauma behaving exactly the way trauma often does, messy, confusing, and hard to explain. But texts would tell their own story next, and they weren't pretty. Just when it seemed like the case couldn't get more complicated, the messages were revealed. In court, the jury was shown text messages Bryana sent to Cassie Ventura. Messages that included photos of what appeared to be drugs, sent just weeks after the alleged balcony incident. When asked about them, Bryana admitted she sent the images but wasn't sure exactly what the substances were. And then came Diddy's message. "If you're gonna do K with her, at least have her back," he wrote. K, as in ketamine, a powerful, dangerous drug often misused at parties. That one line, casual, almost dismissive, sounded like more than just advice. It sounded like a warning. Was it concern, control, or something else entirely? Bryana said she couldn't speak for him, but in a trial already full of blurred lines and broken trust, this message raised even more questions and drew an even sharper focus on Diddy's behavior behind closed doors. And if what came next is true, then someone else may have witnessed everything. Outside the sterile walls of the courtroom, the gravity of Bryana Bongolan's testimony has begun to ripple beyond the headlines. Former federal prosecutor Elise Adamson didn't mince words when she described the incident as mob-like behavior. Her legal insight cuts through the courtroom drama and lands hard. This is exactly the kind of pattern prosecutors need to prove racketeering. It's not just one shocking allegation. It's a tapestry of fear, coercion, silence, and violence. According to Adamson, this isn't about a singular moment of brutality, but a sustained pattern, a strategy. He needs to be behaving in a pattern of abuse, threats, and violence. That's the theme, she explained. And if that theme holds true, if the jury sees not confusion but consistency, not coincidence but conspiracy, the consequences could be seismic. It's not just the balcony incident. It's the chilling detail of Bongolan being thrown onto furniture after allegedly being dangled over the 17th floor. The messages from Combs about stopping friends from making mistakes while high, and the accusations that point to a manipulative dynamic maintained through silence and proximity. Even more compelling to Adamson is that Bongolan was not one of Combs' romantic partners. This broadens the scope and undercuts the notion that these were isolated incidents of interpersonal conflict. Adamson emphasized that racketeering cases don't rise or fall on whether a jury believes everything. Sometimes it only takes one credible thread to unravel the entire defense. "It only takes one juror," she said ominously. If even one believes the testimony reflects an organized pattern of coercion, Combs could be facing the rest of his life behind bars. A witness claiming to have been dangled over a 17-story drop. A timeline blurred by years but reinforced by fear. A friendship with Cassie Ventura that straddled the line between loyalty and legal jeopardy. And a defendant who once ruled music, fashion, and media now fighting for his life in a federal courtroom. Is Bryana Bongolan unearthing a dark, carefully concealed underworld behind the velvet ropes and private jets? Or is this a tangled web of past trauma, altered memories, and courtroom theater? One thing is certain. The courtroom hasn't heard the last of this story. And neither have we, because if even half of what was said is true, just half, it's not just a lawsuit. It's a reckoning. It could bring down an empire.